This week, Hooker takes over and the Union innovates its forces. First thing this week is that innovation, namely the 1st South Carolina Volunteer Infantry Regiment. This is a color regiment made in the Department of the South by Colonel James D. Fessenden. This is one of the first federal colored regiments, a clear sign of what is to come. There isn't much action to be seen in South Carolina right now, and when it is mustered on the 31st of January into service, they are given rifled muskets to guard supplies. Not the brave charges the recruiters promised, but still an honest job of the soldier. Then on the 1st of February, we return to Fort McAllister. It guards the great Ogeechee River and is a target of Admiral DuPont of the Union, who has sent the USS Montauk, an ironclad, to destroy the fortification. On the 1st, the Montauk bombards the fort, killing its commander and wounding others. But it's driven away by cannon fire. Then, on the 3rd, a battle in Tennessee. Major General Joseph Wheeler is full General Braxton Bragg's cavalry commander. With 2 brigades, he is to disrupt Union shipping and supply lines and weaken Major General William S. Rosecrans' army. He hopes to ride quickly and use what he raids to feed his men. Unfortunately for him, the Union understands his intent and hunkers down, not using vulnerable shipping lanes. With 2,500 hungry humans to feed and their horses, General Wheeler makes a decision to attack a fortified position. Colonel Abner C. Harding of Union controls the Union garrison at Dover, Tennessee. It numbers 800 men of the 5th Iowa Cavalry and 83rd Illinois Infantry. Colonel Harding has rifle pits and battery encampments, and right after lunch, he sees the enemy. His men get into position and are charged. Confederate cannons boom, and musket smoke chokes the battlefield. It's harsh fighting, and as night arrives, both sides suffer greatly and are running low on ammunition. At night, Wheeler looks onto Harding's position, and he just can't take it. The Union won, suffering nigh over 120 casualties. The Confederates suffered even more. Low estimates placing them around 400, higher estimates to 650. Wheeler is attacked by Brigadier General Nathan Bedford Forrest, who finds Wheeler unfit of command. Wheeler is chased by Union cavalry back to Confederate territory, but he evades further destruction. Then we go to General Hooker, moving to reorganize the Army of the Potomac. During the Mud March, he was quoted as saying, "Nothing would go right until we had a dictator. The sooner the better." Lincoln responded,
"I have heard in such a way as to believe it, of your recently saying that both the army and the government needed a dictator. Of course, it was not for this, but in spite of it, that I have given you the command. Only those generals who gain success can set up dictators. What I now ask of you is military success, and I will risk the dictatorship."
In order to obtain military success, Hooker will need an army. Right now, he has an armed mob. He moves to shore up his rations. A better fed army is a healthier army. He doubles down on efforts to better the medical corps. He increases sanitation. Quartermaster corruption is cracked down on. Drilling and training is increased, as Fighting Joe tries to bring the fight back into his men. Chief of Staff Daniel Butterfield comes up with a core badge system for quicker identification of forces on the battlefield. Officers are further trained as the commander corps has been decimated by firings and casualties of battle. Hooker is quite impressive in his ministerial role. But so is McClellan. Then there is Sickles. With Hooker in charge and the triumvirate ascendant, he is in a good position. He gets the Black Diamond for his corps' insignia. He brings the fight back into them, drilling his men. And as one of the few people Hooker trusts, well, the quartermasters pay extra attention to the 3rd Corps' needs. That's where the week ends. After the insanity of Fredericksburg and Stones River, there's a lull in fighting. As the Union changes command, it must improve its army. In the West, the Confederates are forced back from attacking the Union supply lines, and in the South, a colored regiment is raised. Here we see the Union holding on to what it has, and repairing its beaten army. Will this amount to anything? That remains to be seen. Hello, it's the Sire Civil War Week by Week team here. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. I'm glad to now have finished cleaning up my, well, admittedly inability to keep track of things, with finally General Order number 11 being done with. I would like to thank everyone who has stayed with me this entire time, my 4 patrons whose names you already saw. They really are the people who, well, help keep this thing going. You should now be seeing a place to subscribe, a place to watch a single video, or a place to watch a playlist. I recommend clicking on one of the threes, or if you're one of the select few, all three. I hope to see you next week. First thing this week is that innovation, namely the 1st South Carolina Volunteer Infantry Regiment. This is a color regiment made in the Department of the South by Colonel James D. Fessenden. This is one of the first federal colored regiments, a clear sign of what is to come. There isn't much action to be seen in South Carolina right now, and when it is mustered on the 31st of January into service, they are given rifled muskets to guard supplies. Not the brave charges the recruiters promised, but still an honest job of the soldier.